So at the end of 24 years, how do you add it all up? As we heard this morning, the numbers tell part of the story, but how do you measure it all? Because not everything that is counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. What really should be measured? This song helps answer that question.
Meetings, 1,450 members to see, 1,190 sermons delivered. How do you measure a call? In numbers, in members, in budgets, in contributions, attendance, parking lots filled up with cars. 10,163 meetings. How do you measure a minister's life? How about following Jesus? How about worshiping God? How about serving your neighbor, serving in love? A life of love, pastoral love. 12,165 phone calls, 120 days off that truly were free, 170,000 minutes of prayer time. How do you measure it all? How about getting changed? How about getting connected? How about getting going? Measured in love, giving your love, pastoral love.
Bob, you helped set a vision and a mission here for us at Lake Grove, and a vision that you have preached these last 3 weeks with us, and really, really appreciate that. That we are carrying Christ, we're a caring community alive in Christ. That we're a community of growing disciples who get changed through their commitment to Jesus Christ. That we get connected through our commitment to the people of Christ, and that we get going through our commitment to the work of Christ. We'd like to end our time together this afternoon reflecting on each of these as you did these past 3 weeks. First, getting changed.
Bob and Debbie, so great to see you today. I get to take us back again, 25 years. So it started 25 years ago, getting changed. We were in the process of selecting a new pastor. Our pastor nominating committee was chaired by Don Gunderson. On it was Ruth Ann Moore, Tony Davidson, Carolyn Swearingen, Frank Lawrence, Martha Wilson, June Young, Chris Naus, and me. I found it hard to recall some of the process and exact events that occurred 25 years ago of our PNC, our pastor nominating committee. But I do know we were 25 years younger than we were today. Probably my hair was a little bit darker. I won't say anything about Bob's hair. And probably we had a lot more energy at that time as well. Our committee was chaired by Don Gunderson. Don was a wonderful leader. He was a great church member, a businessman, and member of our community. We are fortunate to have Don as our chair. Because our church had recently gone through a mission study, our committee did not have to go through the process of developing a mission statement. This allowed us to quickly develop a church information form, which we submitted to the Presbyterian location. I believe it was in the Midwest at the time. I think it was in St. Louis, where we had the most current process of matching a pastor to a church. And that affected what, as I would call today, the eHarmony of church pastors. Forgive me, Luann Solberg. This was not the only resource we used, though, to find prospective pastors, and many in our congregation had a connection with Presbyterian churches in our region and in our area. One Lake Grove member, George Walters, knew a gentleman by the name of Ben Lindstrom. He was an associate pastor at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Hillsdale, thinking Ben would be an excellent candidate as our senior pastor. During the conversation George had with Ben, Ben suggested another pastor, a pastor of a church in Fresno, California named Bob Sanders. Our committee continued our process of reviewing pastor information forms and listening and evaluating sermon tapes. Tony Davidson, one of our members, remembers that our committee listened to 109 sermon tapes. Try figuring that out, the time we spent on that. Tony did, about a day and a half. After listening to Bob's sermon tapes, Bob was quickly moved to the top of our candidate list. Frank Lawrence said that he was blown away by Bob's sermons. And guess what? Bob just got better. We conducted phone interviews and narrowed the pool of candidates to those we wanted to visit. Ruth Ann Moore said, "Almost immediately God convicted me that Bob would be perfect for our church and our mission statement. In fact, I was so convicted that I gave up my turn to visit Bob and hear him in person. I gave it to someone else who hadn't had phone contact with him." Our committee narrowed the list down to 3 finalists who visited our area, met with our committee, and preached in a neutral pulpit in the fall of 1990. And the entire committee agreed Bob was the candidate. Tony Davidson said, "I remember telling Pam that if these 9 people could agree on someone, it would be God's plan." Well, Don Gunderson must have said the right things to you, both you and Debbie, Bob, because you said yes. Thank God. We didn't have a clear second choice. Little did we know that this was the beginning of what would become part of our church vision to get changed. Bob had won the committee's hearts in a short time through his spoken word, through the vision that he gave for our church, and his passion to share God's love in a very caring and real way. In looking back, as most good Monday morning quarterbacks do, we can now see God's work through Bob and how he helped our church grow. First, our attendance grew. Then our membership grew, and we need to add additional services, from 2 on Sunday to 3, and then adding a 4th service that we now hold on Saturday evenings. Who would have thought that 25 years ago we would have a need to fund, then build our fellowship hall, education wing, new office space, youth room, and remodel a sanctuary? As our membership grew and our programs grew, and as our programs grew, we had to add valued staff and volunteer leaders to see programs with the youth, with adult education, as well as with our music programs. Programs that would reach inside our church family to assist those who needed care, and programs to assist and care for those outside our church family that needed help through Portland Rescue Mission or Care and Share, or such projects as Habitat for Humanity, or helping both those within and outside our church needing assistance through job seekers. We established important partnerships reaching out on foreign soil through World Vision, and have developed lasting friendships in Senegal, Zambia, and now Bangladesh, and through Agros in developing lasting relationships in Honduras. It's interesting, though, how it seems so simple that 24 years ago, George Walters knew Ben Lindstrom knew Bob Sanders. I thank God, and I think God had a plan for our church and helped make those connections that ultimately brought Bob and Debbie to Lake Grove. Thank you, Bob and Debbie, for saying yes.